Welcome in, everybody, to another week of UFL Weekly. I'm Kyle Krajewski. Here with me, as always, Mr. Beautiful Zach Cole. And today we're previewing week two of this lovely 2026 UFL season. Easter weekend, we've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday night football. Before we get into all that, Zach, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing pretty well. I can't complain. We had a great weekend of football behind us now, and I'm looking forward to another great weekend of football coming up. And this is about as good as it gets. We got March Madness wrapping up this weekend too. It's Easter. It's a good weekend.
It's a really good weekend. I know we bring it up every year here with spring football, but we've got Easter weekend football,
hmm
which has now become a regular occurrence, which is awesome. This year, though, I think last year, past few years, we've had like noon football or like early afternoon football on Easter. Now, this year, it's on a Sunday at 6 p.m. So we've got like all day to relax, spend time with the family, and then it's like, all right, let's go, let's watch some Stallions Gamblers football.
I like to think that that's like perfect post nap time. You know, you eat in the early afternoon, you fall asleep for an hour or two, and then you wake up and you got football on TV. I love it.
Gives you time, make dinner. You kind of you've gotten through the day, you've got your dinner ready, and you can sit down and be like, end the day with some football. Or for you
Oh
West
yeah.
Coasters, it's like still mid afternoon, early afternoon. You can still enjoy a whole day after the game, but that's a different discussion. Let's talk week two. Before we do, Zach, I wanted to kind of bring this up for you. Last week, to be fair, this isn't on you or us. We talked a lot about Orlando last week, previewing that week one matchup. We talked a lot about
hmm
DTR starting at quarterback, and then I think like as we launched this episode, or as we launched the episode, they announced that DTR was not the starting quarterback, and that it was instead Jack Plummer. But hey, I mean, stepped in, got a win. But I just wanted to bring that up. That apologies to you listeners and viewers. We talked DTR, and then the league immediately was like, actually, it's the other guy.
Jack Plummer, we were not familiar with your game, so we apologize here.
No, that's on us. Jack Plummer, way to go, dude. The other note I wanted to highlight, and we'll obviously touch on it when we talk about them, but Dallas Renegades kind of showing up with the performance of the week, but especially from rookie starting quarterback Austin Reed breaking the UFL
hmm
regular season passing yard record in his debut, 376 passing yards. Week one, that's one hell of a way to start the season, start your career. That was
Oh yeah,
an incredible performance there.
yeah, for sure.
All right, let's talk week two. Kicking us off for the week, we've got Friday night football between the DC Defenders at the Columbus Aviators. Columbus opening up in Ohio for the first time this season. The Defenders are favored in this one at -2.5. Over under set to 39.5. The two teams here, Defenders and Aviators, are both sitting at 0-1. So this is one of these teams is walking out 1-1. The other one's walking out 0-2. So that 0-2 is a tough hole to start in such a short season here for the UFL. We've only got only 10 weeks of football action here. So to start 0-2, so it's a hole,
Mhm.
but nothing you can't escape from. Last week, DC lost 16-10. Columbus or lost 16-10 to St. Louis to the Battlehawks. Columbus lost 23-16 to the Orlando Storm. Both teams kind of saw turnover action on their offenses, but something that I have highlighted here is like things to watch, what to look for in this game. DC offensive efficiency. They had a really, I guess, weak, just overall weak performance last week, scoring only 10 points, 196 total yards. This was a low volume, bad protection game for this offense. Uh, they ran, I think, the lowest. They ran the least plays of the league last week, or last year they led the league in plays per game. Uh, Tayama threw two interceptions, no touchdowns, but this offensive line allowed 7 sacks. That was both a testament to the St. Louis defense, but also this offensive line is kind of showing to be the big weakness here for DC. For Columbus, though, it's basically, can this team finish drives? They scored one touchdown and then kind of wrapped it up with 3 field goals, kind of limiting their scoring potential here. So something that they're obviously looking to clean up. But McClendon had a fantastic game, I would say. Uh, I mean,
Mhm.
they moved this offense consistently, got them into scoring position. They scored 3 field goals. They just need to finish those drive. Um, but yeah, only finished the game 16 points, multiple scoring opportunities. Something that they're clearly looking to kind of get right in this matchup.
Yeah, I think one of the main points, Kyle, that you brought up on the DC side of the ball is they need to rectify the offensive line situation. I mean, they're not going to win games if they can't protect the quarterback. To kind of liken it to an NFL example, just to make an easy comparison, it feels like the Bengals almost, where
Yeah,
they couldn't protect Joe Burrow for years and years and years. And it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is or how good your weapons are, if your offensive line can't protect, you're going to be in trouble. So, I thought that that was a really good point on your behalf there, and I would love to see Columbus get in the win column. Obviously, only lost by 7 points to Orlando last week, and like you said, McClendon was definitely a bright spot. I was pleased to see that he did step up in the way that we were kind of hoping. He picked up where he left off from last year, but it's about capitalizing on those drives, and even if they had been able to turn around maybe one or two of those drives into a touchdown, we're talking about this game completely differently. So. Limiting turnovers is another big thing as well.
yeah,
It's just you kind of need to make the most of the opportunities that you have when you have those opportunities. So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for from Columbus this week. Is can they capitalize when they get down into the red zone inside that 25 to go area? I know the red zone's 20, but 25 and in is kind of that field goal range that we're looking for. So we'll see. I mean, long story short, I think that this game could tell us a lot about the season, especially only with this 10-game format, like you said.
yeah. And then other quick note: DC signed Yasir Durant, the offensive tackle they had on the team last year, who was named all UFL last year. But he won't play until week 3. So they're making changes to this line, but biggest change
Mhm.
we won't see until week 3. All right, let's make our game picks here, Zach. I want to hear what you've got here. DC's favorite in this game, -2.5 by a field goal. Over under set to 39.5. What you got for me?
I think I think I'm going to go with the trendy team here, and I think I'm going to keep riding on my belief in Jalen McClendon. Excuse me. So I think I'm going to go with Columbus plus 2.5. I also like that they're the home team here in this one, and as we mentioned, they just really DC had a hard time stopping the pass rush. So I think that um, Columbus plus 2.5 is my pick here, and I think I'm going to go with the over in this one. Something we didn't mention, Kyle, is that the defenders had the 4 point field goal in this one
Yes,
as
they
well, which
did.
was a pretty big deal.
Yes.
That was Matt McCrane. Don't want to get that name wrong. He hit a 60-yarder, and that counted for 4 points. So that's a pretty big deal. But I like the over. I think that these are two teams that show that they can score, and I think that as we mentioned, as I mentioned, if Columbus can convert one of those field goals into a touchdown, we're looking at an easy over here. So give me Columbus plus 2.5 and the over 39.5. What do you got?
I'm going to go opposite of you on both of these. I'm taking
Yeah.
DC, taking the favorite here. Um, Maybe this is some Homer, I guess, favoritism here, but I think DC they didn't impress me last week, but I think they definitely kind of left that game and we're like, all right, we gotta turn this around. And
hmm
hopefully this is the week that they do that, and I think they will. So DC -2.5, but I'm gonna go under. I think these were two offenses that might be really slow to start here. offensively to scoring. So I'm gonna give them both the under here, under 39.5.
I definitely like your reasoning on those, but we gotta keep things interesting here. So I'm gonna stick to my guns. But
Let's do it.
all right, let's pivot to our next game of the weekend, our Saturday game. It is a Saturday 8 p.m. game, so a little primetime action here. And it is the Louisville Kings at the Orlando Storm. The over/under is set at 41.5, and the Storm are the favorites in this at a 3.5 point spread. So Storm minus 3.5. Two expansion teams coming in here. That's one of the major storylines I would say of this. One is 0-1, Louisville, and Orlando is 1-0. So they're both looking to try to either continue on the positive swing or get right the ship, like we talked about with those first two teams. Louisville was a very close game that they lost to Birmingham. It was only 15-13, and against a very established and very strong Birmingham team. I feel like that's a good way um, to start the season. So hopefully they're looking to build off of that. And Orlando beat Columbus, like we talked about, by a score 23-16. 23 is a pretty good amount of points, especially in your first ever week in the league. So I thought that was a very positive spot for them. A couple things just to watch. Orlando was really good on the offensive side of the ball. 23 points, like I said, is definitely something to kind of open your eyes outside of outside of just 36 points being the high of the week. This would have been right up there with one of the best performances. Jack Plummer was really good in this one, 17-22, high completion percentage for 240 passing yards and a touchdown. And Jashawn Corbin, who was the leading rusher last year in the UFL, also tacked on 66 yards and two touchdowns, which was very, very good as well. So on the other side of the ball, Louisville, on the other side of this game, I should say, Louisville got good quarterback play out of their quarterback last week. Jason Bean, he threw for 226 yards. Really kind of impressive quarterback stats in week one,
Yeah,
I thought,
from
across the league.
just about across the
Um,
league. Yeah,
yeah, I would say so. And 226 is very solid. So Louisville was particularly offensive on the offensive side of the ball aggressive on the offensive side of the ball last week. And they just didn't finish drives. Again, that was kind of the key with Columbus. That was the key with Louisville, I would say. So, 2 points is nothing to turn your nose up at. They were right there in that game, and again, against a very veteran team. That they in the Stallions, they were hanging right in there till the end of the game. So I think that's optimistic to see from Louisville. So this game is going to be really again a measuring stick. I know it's week two, and that's kind of all we can say about a lot of these matchups. But I think that the Orlando Louisville one is specifically a really interesting game to watch. So with all that being said, Kyle, give me your picks one more time. The over under is currently set at 41.5 points, and the Orlando Storm are favored by 3.5 points.
yeah. I think I'm with you in this being probably one of the best games this week.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I could honestly go back and forth on what this spread's going to be. I'm going to take Kings plus 3.5. I think, I don't know. I think with how close they kept it with Birmingham, kind of tells me that they could probably keep it closer or win this one against the Storm. But the Storm looked just as good.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Louisville. Give me the underdogs in this one. Give me the over. I thought we saw some really good, just I guess mildly good, mildly positive quarterback play or offensive play on both sides of the ball here, or both sides of this game here, to put up some points. So I think we could see some overaction here. Both teams hopefully potentially scoring over 20. That'd be great to see. Uh, but I think Louisville kind of keeps it close or wins this one. So Louisville plus 3.5, over 41.5.
I like where your brain is at. I think I'm going to go on the opposite side of this one, though. I think I'm going to go with Orlando minus 3.5 in this one. I'm just strictly going off a quarterback play. I think Plummer was a little more consistent in this game. We saw being complete only about half of his passes, and he threw two interceptions in that game, which kind of worries me a little bit. So I would like to see him kind of take care of the ball a little bit more, and
Yeah.
in that mind frame, I'm going to go ahead and take Orlando minus 3.5. But I do like the over on this one, so I'm going to go ahead and ride with you on over 41.5. Kyle, one last thing before we move off of this one. I know we talked about it over the weekend, but it was pretty wild. There was a wild situation in the Louisville Birmingham game, and it had Louisville exiting the field and walking. I'm sorry, it had Birmingham exiting the field and walking to their locker room, and there must have been a restaurant or a bar or something that was right there up against the tunnel that they walked through, and it was an ugly scene. The fans were letting Birmingham have it. And I think we both agree that there's probably going to be like a plexiglass wall there this time next game.
Yeah, I think the league already commented on it, and we're like, all right, we're gonna do something about this moving forward. But yeah, there was a clip of them just getting into it with the Birmingham team, and it's just like very clearly a bar or a bar area, just like
Yeah.
right next to the tunnel, like wide open. It's just like, oh, they could just be right there. So I don't know if we're just going to see beefed up security or if that area is going to be closed for like halftime or what. But that was an interesting thing to see. Uh,
It was a wild scene
yeah.
for sure.
Speaking of Birmingham, they play this next game Sunday at 6 p.m. Birmingham Stallions go into Houston to face the Gamblers. The over under here set at 44.5. Stallions, biggest spread here on the week, favorite at -7. And quite
Wow.
honestly, this is a pretty big mismatch on paper heading into the week. Birmingham survived a close game last week against the Kings, winning 15-13, but Houston just got absolutely decimated by Dallas, losing 36-17. That was just domination against Houston, and hopefully they bounce back, but it looked rough.
Mhm.
Birmingham looks to kind of, I guess, score better. Uh, Matt Corral threw for over 200 yards, but the offense only produced 15 points. Still coming away with the win. Um, but last week we saw Houston give up the most passing yards in a regular season game. So Matt Corral could be in for a huge day here, passing volume wise. And I wanted to give a shout out here to wide receiver Jaden Mickens. First year here in Birmingham, last year with the Defenders, blowing up with 9 receptions, 103 yards. What a performance from him last week. Hopefully, we see a lot more of him again this week. But this Birmingham offense was controlled. They weren't explosive, so I think we could see a little bit more opening up here in Birmingham. Let maybe AJ McCarron feels a little bit more comfortable in this one. But I think if they open things up, they separate from this game pretty quickly. Houston, the big thing here is the quarterback situation. Nolan Henderson started, but kind of struggled to, I guess, sustain drives. Hunter Deckers kind of came in and finished the game there for Houston, wrapping up with 227 yards and a rushing touchdown. So as of right now, no note on who the starter is. Um, Actually, let me confirm here that I don't have that information before I just go right on. No, I don't have any information. So we could see another quarterback change. We could see another split game between these two quarterbacks until they kind of land on who may be the winner of this, I guess, QB opening. But right now, it looks like I would personally say maybe it's Deckers. Um, Realistically, though, if Houston falls behind like they did in week one, I think it's going to be really hard for them to keep it close or kind of come back and get in the lead. Because if Birmingham gets that lead, I don't see them playing in a manner to kind of give that back to Houston. So Houston kind of needs to either start ahead or stay close in the entire game if they want to have a chance here. Because I think once they lose that little momentum or kind of shift the opposite direction from them, I think that's where they would lose this one. But with all that, Zach, let's hear your picks. Again, we've got the Stallions favored in this one at -7, over under 44.5.
I'm gonna go pretty vanilla on this one. I like the Stallions -7. You mentioned that the Gamblers really struggled last week and gave up 36 points, which is kind of absurd. So clearly their defense is not what we would like to see just this early in the season. And I think that Birmingham is just a very good team. And I think that maybe they were a little sluggish week one. Mind you, they were on the road. You know, there were a lot of things going on. They're on the road in this one too. So that's hopefully not a major red flag, but I do think that they're going to continue to get better as the weeks go on here. As for the over under, I think I'm going to go with the under on this one, and that's more of a um, that's more of just a playoff of what we saw from week one than anything else. We only saw, let me make sure my math is correct here. We only saw 32 total points from these two teams. So for that to jump by over almost 2 touchdowns, that kind of worries me. I totally understand how one could see that happening, but I think I'm going to go ahead and stick with the under in this one.
Interesting. I'm joining you. Birmingham -7. I'm gonna go the opposite though. You took the under. I'm gonna take the over. I see primarily. I mean, we saw this Houston defense just give up yards, give up points. Even the offense gave up points. Uh, but I think Birmingham is, in my opinion, the better team than Dallas, kind of giving them a little bit more opportunity to score more points. But I also see this Houston offense maybe going in with a better quarterback plan and scoring more points themselves. Um, so I'm going to take the over. I think more points kind of appear from these offenses this week. Um, so yeah, catch Ludacris at halftime in this game too. If you're looking for something to do
Luda.
in Houston on Easter Sunday, you could go see Ludacris perform at the halftime show of this matchup.
That's wild. I love that. That's good
It
stuff.
is.
All right, our final, arguably better than Ludacris. I don't know, but Tuesday game is going to be between the St. Louis Battlehawks and the Dallas Renegades. It is an 8 p.m. game on a Tuesday night. We have it broken down that we think that they're avoiding the championship matchup for March Madness, and that's why they put it on Tuesday. But that's just our speculation. So, anyhow, the over under is set at 42.5, and the Dallas Renegades are actually favored in this one against the St. Louis Battlehawks, which is a little bit surprising. They are 3.5 point favorites coming into the game. That's as of we're recording this on Thursday morning here. So that just gives you an idea of where Vegas thinks this one's at. So this is the kind of, so to speak, premier matchup of the weekend as we see two undefeated 1-0 teams taking on each other. And they did really probably look like two of the best teams in the league after week one. We saw an extremely vicious defensive attack from the St. Louis Battlehawks. They kind of played the Uno reverse card on the DC defenders in week one. We usually see DC kind of with that defensive pressure, and we got to see St. Louis bring it this year, which was pretty cool. So they only allowed 10 points and forced several turnovers from DC. And Dallas was quite the opposite. They put up points, man. They
Yeah.
put up 36 points in week one. We saw 50, I think 55 total points in that game. So it was a shootout. So this is definitely one of kind of a litmus test, I think, for both of these teams. Is St. Louis's defense as good as it seems on paper, and as good as it seemed in week one? And is Dallas's offense as strong as it really seemed coming off of that week one performance as well? So a couple key points in this one. Dallas, like I said, put up 36 points in that week one game, exploded. Austin Reed had 376 passing yards, which is just nuts. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot for the NFL at this
Yeah.
point. I mean, we're used to seeing 200 to 250 pretty consistently. So 376 is like nuts. And they were really aggressive passing the ball, and that's something kind of that's good stuff. I like seeing that as an offensive minded guy. I really like seeing that. St. Louis did force 2 interceptions and have 9 sacks, so that's going to kind of be something to watch.
Yeah.
There is, can they rattle Austin Reed? Can they get to him, and can they force him to make bad decisions with the football? So we're going to see if they can bring the pressure. 9 sacks is just an absurd team number, and that's really hard to replicate on a week to week basis. You know, most teams are happy with like 2, 3 sacks maybe, but 9 is just nuts. So if they can get to the quarterback, it's going to kind of turn into their game, I think. But that's part of what we need to watch and see play out here. So it's going to be the explosive play offense from Dallas versus the controlled kind of pace of game version of football from St. Louis. So we're gonna have to see what happens in this one, and I'm pretty excited for it. So always cool when we get to see a defensive team versus an offensive team and kind of see how those two things compare. So all right, after all that being said, Kyle, the over under one more time is at 42 and a half. The Renegades are favored in this one at minus 3.5. What do you got?
Yeah. I do want to also note that I think it's fairly safe to say that whoever wins this game probably lands at the, I guess, definitive top of all power rankings lists for
I agree.
this
Yep.
league, barring any absolute domination from any other team. Like if there's a 50-6 game from
Sure, yeah.
I don't know, maybe Columbus just decimates the defenders. I don't know. But I think it's fairly safe to say whoever wins this one is like the one. That being said, I think we see this being a Renegades game. Um, I think Dallas created something special. I think they just, I mean, sure, it seemed like an easy matchup for them last week against Houston, but I think they've got something there. So I'm going to take Dallas in this one, minus 3.5. But I'm also going to go under. I think
Mm.
uh, 42. Yeah, I'm going to go the under. I think this is oddly going to be a little bit more defensive than we want as scoring fans, but I think what we saw from St. Louis last week, um, and even Dallas for a little bit there early on in that matchup against Houston, I think we see some strong defensive plays here, giving us under 42.5.
I like where your head's at on the under, Kyle, but I think I am going to take the Battlehawks with points. That just feels like
It
free money to
does.
me right
It
there.
does.
I don't.
Yep.
It it just. I'm totally on board with you. I think that the week. I don't really have a great reason behind it. I just something about the Battlehawks being known, being established. It just feels safe to me, and I think that that's why I'm going plus 3.5 with them. I mean, they only scored 16 points in week one, but I just I don't know. They feel comfortable to me, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll take them plus 3.5, and I'm also going to ride on the under with you until I can see Dallas consistently score that many points. Then maybe I'll start buying the overs in their games, but I also just think that that could have been kind of an explosion in week one against a bad team. And we've seen that in past seasons. We saw that happen to the Brahmas all the time last year. So really, until I can see consistency from Dallas, I'm not ready to pile on the points on them yet. So give me St. Louis plus 3.5. Give me the under 42.5.
Yeah. Was it a an Austin Reed game or was it a Houston bad defense game?
That's the question. That's the question. We don't have enough evidence yet to answer that question.
Oh, and because I see you commenting, Battlehawks fans, I love you guys. I love you, Battlehawks fans. Feel free to completely roast me if the Battlehawks win this week. I'll take it.
He's the biggest Battlehawks hater on earth.
No, 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 no. But I get it. I see you cause law comments in the on YouTube, but I'm sorry. I got it. I'm feeling Dallas this week, but I get it. I get it. I get it. Um. All right. That does it here for our week 2 preview. Um. Once again, I guess to recap all of this, we've got 4 games this week. We'll always have 4 games. Uh, Kicking off Friday, we've got DC against the Aviators, Defenders versus Aviators. Saturday, we have the Kings versus the Storm. Sunday, we've got Stallions versus Gamblers. And then on Tuesday night, we have the Battlehawks versus Renegades. Got to be fun week ahead of us. You tell us, viewers and listeners, which game are you most excited for? I'll once again have a poll on Spotify if you're listening there, that you can select which game you're excited to watch the most. I think we have here our Battlehawks versus Renegades or King Storm. Honestly, I think it's a toss up for which one I'm excited for, and I'm happy I don't have to choose. I can watch them both. But that'll do it here for us this week. Thank you for tuning in. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can listen to us on anywhere you get your podcasts if you want to just listen. Or if you're listening and you want to see us, we're on YouTube. Just search UFL Weekly and we should be there. So again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. And we will see you next week to talk week 3.
See ya.